The latest episode of Rick and Morty came out earlier this week, the 5th episode of the 6th season, Final Dismissation. So to start off, I'll give a quick recap on the season so far. The first episode was good. It offered some answers to questions fans have had about earlier episodes, as well as adding some new story that we can expect that they will continue at some point in the future. But they haven't yet. I actually already did a review of it, so if you want to see more of my thoughts on it, you can check that out. The second was the throwaway episode making fun of Die Hard, where Summer basically does everything that Bruce Willis did in that movie. There's not much really going on in that one other than that, and the last two episodes were great. Episode 3 being about a relationship between Beth and her clone, which sounds weird, but it kind of worked. This is while the rest of the family plays the worst video games, which makes fun of the realism in video games, which can become ridiculous. They even show a Final Fantasy character not being able to swing his sword in an attempt to distract them from what's going on. And the last episode being the best episode of the season so far, Night Family, where the family decides to have their sleeping selves do their work for them, but their unconscious selves try to take over and control of their wake versions. It's kind of like Us, but good. Anyway, in the end they reach an agreement and they accept to do their own dishes now. This episode focuses on Rick and Jerry. He had to get one episode, I guess. So they go to Panda Express to get dinner, and of course all of them want to check what their fortune cookies say, and none of them get anything good because you never do. Jerry's is especially bad, as it says that Jerry will fuck his own mum, and Jerry takes it seriously, and so he's scared that it'll actually become reality, and so everyone makes fun of him for it, except Rick, who decides that he'll help, and to his surprise, there seems to be some kind of magic connected to these fortune cookies. I don't know what it is about this show, but at the moment they can't seem to stay away from incest. You had that infamous episode from the last season.
Something big, and it's coming right at you! Dear God, no. Explorer, what is it? What the hell do you see?
Then the third episode from this season, which I guess is either incest or just space jerking off.
Incest, space baby. Nicely done.
I don't know if this was them trying to show that they can make an episode about incest that was funny. Like, we'll show you, we're going to make the best goddamn incest episode you could ever think of. His family ripping on him for his fears is pretty funny, like placing his mum's head on models. That shit was funny though. So they go back to Panda Express where they got the cookies and a shootout ensues. I guess Panda Express is part of a gang war or something where they sell meth or some shit. They seemed pretty understanding for a group that just had half of its members killed. Afterwards, it turns out the Panda Express is getting its fortune cookies from Fortune 500, which is funny and I guess is run by Gwyneth Paltrow, you know, the chick who made a pussy candle, who is of course in charge of some kind of cult in this episode, kind of like when her company creates dumb trends. They find where the fortune cookies are made, but are spotted, and while shooting at them they figure out that Jerry's fortune is undetermined, and so they have to stop Jerry from being immortal, because apparently you can't kill someone whose fortune is undetermined. They have to make Jerry's fortune come true. Also, it turns out the fortune cookies are made from alien shit, kind of like Slurm from Futurama.
Fry? Fry?
And some guy was kidnapped to write these fortunes, and the only reason he wrote the fortune that Jerry got was because he was trying to get someone's attention so he could escape. And so he wrote heaps of these fortunes about people's mums, which means most of them came true. Well, actually all of them came true except Jerry's, which is pretty fucked. So they bring Jerry's mum there to make it happen, and he has to run around and get away from his mum, while Rick fights Gwyneth Paltrow's guards, who are all armed with fortune cookie powers. Each different, only one of them shoots using headshots, another can't die but still gets shot a bunch of times. He's going to be feeling that pain forever. But all of them have abilities that get exploited and used against them, like a guy who has water powers, which is used against another one who has fire powers, and then he pulls the blood out of the guy, like bloodbenders from Avatar. Rick creates some kind of black hole, and one guy's fortune was that he will stay stuck to walls, so his body gets stuck and his insides get sucked out, which was pretty fucking sick. But the black hole pulls Jerry towards his mum, which I was like, oh god, please do not let this happen, but luckily they don't actually fuck. I noticed when I was watching that one of the useless fortunes that Rick got when he was fighting was that he would make a new friend, and at the end of the episode, Jerry declares himself Rick's friend, which means that Rick is no longer immortal, and then there's a pause right before Jerry receives the biggest backhand of all time, pimp slapped him into another galaxy. So even though the writers seemed fascinated with incest, the episode was pretty fucking funny. It's still not topping the last episode, Night Family, and even though it had some of the funniest scenes, I'd probably still say it's near the bottom of this season. But it was still a solid episode. I'm not sure where this season stacks up against the other seasons just yet, but it's already better than the last season, and it's probably better than the fourth as well, but it's not touching the first three. So if you like this video, check out my other videos, or don't. You can leave this channel at your own risk.
Morty forever and forever 100 years, Rick and Morty some things. Me and Rick and Morty and running around in Rick and Morty time. All day long, forever.